guys, what's up? So we're back. Excuse me while I get myself situated here. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, so we finished the last video on creating this application, this CRUD application of React, that it was going to be basically static, and everything is going to be, we're not going to basically do anything that is going to persist. I mean, I could do anything I want here and delete it, and then I refresh and it will still be there. So we have all that, right? So obviously that's not enough. We need to work on how to create HTTP requests to an API so that we can persist data, and we can have things that actually will be modifying the data that you're receiving and things like that. So without further ado, let's start working on how to become, how to get that part of the job done. All right, so in order to do this, obviously you're gonna need a backend. Now we're not going to go too deep into that part because, first of all, I'm not a backend developer, but won't even claim to be one, and I should actually probably learn it, but I'm not a backend developer. But there is something, and there's a specific npm package that is written in Node that is called Json Server. And what Json Server does for you is it basically lets you create a database API mock, like a fake API that you can run within your application and do any type of changes, just like if it was a regular API. So when you build an application in your workplace, right, for your boss, you basically would do this, and then once you give them a copy of that DB database JSON file, your server-side developer will basically be able to see it and be like, okay, I see how the API needs to look like. I see already what kind of properties I need to build into the API so that you can absorb them. And then what you would have to do then at that point is just basically change who you connect to, basically. So instead of connecting to your DB JSON, you'll be connecting to that API. I know this doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now without you seeing it, but you're gonna see it soon, and it's gonna make a whole lot more sense. All right, so let's go ahead and start this. So the first thing we're going to need to bring in our JSON package. So npm Json Server. npm install. There you go. npm install Json Server, and then you could do that. That's the same thing as saying this. Okay, just small. All right, so do that. Give it a minute. Give it a second. Actually, it's not that long. It's not that big, and it's going to load up for us. All right, now while that's working, cool. So now that is available to us, I'm gonna go ahead and get back over to this side right here, and then you should see it now in the package JSON. So if we go to our package JSON, remember, everything that I install, I always go make sure that it is in the package JSON, and here it is, Json Server. So it is available to us right now. So first thing I'm going to do is I am going to create a new script in here that I can run, okay? And this one is going to be called server. I'm gonna call it, you can call it whatever you want. I'm gonna call mine server. And then this is going to run Json Server, watch the file that you wanted to watch, which is going to be dbjson, and then the port that you wanted to run at. I think that by default it runs in port 3000, but we're gonna need port 3000 for us for the application that we're running. So we're gonna have to declare a different port for it to run at, and then we're gonna watch that file on that and display it on that port. Okay, So that's done. I'm gonna hit save, and now I am going to need this particular side right here of the application, and I'm going to put npm run server. I'm gonna run this script right here, npm run server, and it's gonna do its thing, and it's going to, did it work? Yes. No, wait a minute, some error occurred. It's already in used. It's already in used. Okay, so it appears that I am already using 5,000. Let's see what that is. Let's go to localhost 5,000. Localhost 5,000 is being used, is it? I don't see it. Alright, so whenever you see this code right here in use, it's basically that somehow you're running 5,000, you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and change it to 6,000 instead, and I'm going to stop that and run it again, and there we go. So now we have localhost 6,000, and if you can see, well, you're gonna see here that it says hi whatever, loading db.json or whatever, and I'm gonna change that to 6,000 now and figure it out in a second. Alright, and then we see that the localhost 6,000 should have been already. That's odd. Might be temporarily done. You may have to remove to any address. Alright, we'll look at that in a second. So if we look at the db.json right now that it created a file for us already with some API structures, and these pieces of API data is in here. So it's post, comment, and profile. And if you look at here, you have an endpoint for each API that is going to be a post, comment, and profile. So it's basically the same thing. So if I click and right click, is it right click? I'm just gonna copy it and put it on here. I wonder why it's not showing. This is not usual. That was not what I wanted to do. Control R, Control Shift R. That's not what I wanted either. Alright. Alright, well, never mind. We'll figure that out in a minute, later. Alright, so what we have now is basically that package JSON now and that db.json. So what we're going to do before anything, since we don't need any of these profile comments, these are the ones that it basically does out of the box. We are going to delete that, and we're going to change this to tasks because that's what we're working with. And I'm going to delete this, delete that trailing in there, and we're going to go to our let's close all this stuff. We're gonna go to our home package right here, our home page here, and we're gonna see this this entire you know, our state in here, right? Our data. So we're going to copy everything that is inside, go cut it, right? And then we're gonna eliminate all this space in here, and we're going to just basically leave it empty, just like that. The US state is the use state is going to be empty, and we're going to save it. That's going to break because it's not gonna break, but it's gonna say there's nothing in there, right? And then we're gonna come over here and we're gonna put it inside our tasks. All right, so now this is going to break. This is not going to work like this because this needs to be in, you know, as you can see, the keys must be double quoted. So if you're using Visual Studio Code, you can basically select that IDE and then Control D, like that, and go to the beginning with the arrow left, and then just put that and that, and it's going to basically do it to all of them, right? And then likewise you can come down to an arrow. You can navigate with the arrows and it will do it because they're basically identical. Go to the beginning and then do it over here as well, and do it here as well, and here as well. Alright, so we got those done, and then now we're going to highlight this little icon here. Actually, this one is not gonna work, but we'll do this one here and turn that into, alright, that, and now here we can do it. So I'm gonna highlight that thing and then Control D, and make sure you're selecting the right ones, the ones at the beginning and at the end. Make sure that you're not selecting one that it is in the middle. That's why I did this one separate, because I didn't want this one to be selected, and then put the quoted, the double quoted one. Alright, so all errors are gone, everything is the way it should be. Numerals, they should stay as numbers. They should always be integers, so they will stay that way, and then booleans will also stay the way it is. The only ones that you want in double quotes are going to be the strings, okay? So if it's an object or a boolean or a number, then it shouldn't be a string, therefore it doesn't take double quotes, so these are fine. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. Are you still working or not? Oh, well, that wouldn't work. So let's see, task, is it task or tasks? Tasks. Still not working, huh? All right, so let's stop this server here, and let's run that npm run server again to see if it works. We see that it's serving that task. That is so weird that it doesn't work. I hope it doesn't give me any problems later. It should work. It should work just fine. I don't know what the problem is. Alright, so we're done with the package JSON right here. That's we're done with this. If we need to if we need to stop port 5000 and then reserve it again, or we need to maybe change this to something else, we'll do that eventually, but for right now we don't. So we're gonna turn that off, and we're not gonna need the db.json right now either, so we can just close that. But we do need to do some work on our home file here, because we have to make sure that it serves, that we can get successfully, that we can get our API now from its new source, so that way it'll show here. So this is basically working on what your get request is going to be. Alright, so how do you do get requests in React is by using a hook called use effect. Use effect. Okay, so use effect is going to be the one that you will use, kind of like what in Angular will be HTTP client or something like that. So this is going to get a little bit weird, but just keep chugging along. All right, so first we're gonna make our call to a use effect, and that's going to be basically a function. And inside that function, we're gonna have another function, arrow function, running in there. And then down here, we're gonna put this empty array in there. This is for dependencies, and I'm not gonna spend too much time on saying what that is, because, or going over this right here, because it's gonna confuse you. But if we have to use it, I will explain it. If not, then I'll figure out a way that I can make another maybe I can make another video that explains this in more detail. But this is basically for dependencies only, okay? Just for right now, if you have any dependencies, it will be here. If not, then just at least put one empty array to declare that you have no dependencies, okay? All right, so now what we need to do is that we need to create a function that is going to call your tasks, right? So outside of the use effect, we're gonna create that function, and I'm going to do this separately, because if I do it, no, some people, I've seen some people trying to do that inside the use effect, but it creates a lot of racing, what is it called, the race situations. I forget what it's called now, but it causes problems. So I'm gonna do it outside instead, and then make a call in it. Okay, so we're gonna call this fetch tasks. Okay, fetch tasks. That's gonna be fun to say. And then in fetch tasks, it's gonna be so much fun. We're gonna make an async await, okay, which is an asynchronous call. So what does asynchronous call mean? It means that it can do several things at once. That's basically what an asynchronous call is. If you don't make an asynchronous call, then the call is not going to run again until the first call ends. So you're gonna have to make one call at a time, or one process at a time. You don't want to do that. You want this to be able to run multiple processes at the same time, or it makes multiple calls at the same time and without conflicting with each other. Alright, so inside there we're going to make a variable. We're going to call this results res, and then we're going to basically make an await call, and then fetch our API, right? And then your API, now here's where we're gonna make a little pause here, and we're gonna come up here and declare what our API is going to be called. Okay, so normally I don't like to put the URL, this URL. I don't like to put this URL right here inside here like that, because, and then like that. I don't like to put this entire API here, because this will be repetitive. So I like to save it into an API variable, for example, and then I'll save that in there like this, and then now in here I'm going to turn this into literals like so, with the tilde thing, whatever it's called, the back ticks or whatever. And then this part right here all the way to the sixth thing, I'm gonna make an expression in there. Where is my, there it is. I'm gonna put an expression in there, and that's going to call the API expression. This right here, as you can see, if I hover over it, is calling that HTTP localhost 6000. It's calling this variable and then putting this value in here. Okay, so why do I do it this way? Let's say I make a bunch of different requests to the API, and all of them are going to be calling different parts of the API. One is going to be calling the tasks, one of them is going to be calling the users, one is going to be calling posts, the other one is going to be calling comments. I don't know, a bunch of them, right? I have let's say I have 6 of them. Let's say I have a bunch here, right? And one is calling posts, one is calling comments, one is calling users, and this one is going to be calling post, comments, users. If I have this hard coded inside here, inside of these variables right here, then if the API ever changes, which the root of the API changes, I have to change it in these 4 places at the same time, right? And that could change. I've seen API root change a lot, okay? However, if I have it in an API variable and it does change, the port changes, for example, like we may have to actually, this 6000 post may not actually work. I may have to change to 7000 or 8001 or something like that. So I can just change it here, and and all of this would still work. Okay, these endpoints hardly ever will ever stop or change. What will probably change will be the API root, right, or even the port. So in order to avoid having to rewrite this in a bunch of different places, I'd rather have it in an API variable and then service that variable in here. And then if it does change, all I have to do is change it in this one spot, and it's done. Okay, so I hope you didn't write all that, because that was just for explaining. Anyway, if you did, just delete it. All right, so moving along. So now that I have this this call here to make this fetch, now this entire API is going to be serviced into this variable in there, and then we're going to make another variable called data, which is going to do an await to the rest, which is to this. It's going to make an await to this right here, but I want that to be turned into JSON. Okay, I want it to be made into JSON format, right? So now that that is done, sorry, okay, thought I saw a meeting or something. All right, never mind. All right, so now that that is done, what we're going to do next is we're going to then return the data. All right, cool. So that is returning the data, and what do we got here is it's declared but it's never read. Okay, so that's declared but it's never read, but it's fine. There's no errors, just a warning that it hasn't been used yet. So if we have that there, it's fine. So let's go ahead and save that for now. But just to see if we have something working, we're gonna console log the data here and see if we are actually working. So I'm going to inspect it and read my console and get my errors. Alright, so what do we have here? It's assigned but it's not read. Alright, so okay, because it's not being let me see if I can just do it from here. Fetch what? Fetch tasks. Fetch tasks. Yeah, it wouldn't work like this. This fetch task. Let's try with this. Tasks. Nah, it wouldn't work that way. All right, so that's fine. We'll run it in here then. So let's go ahead and delete this. We'll see it eventually. So now that we have this this fetch task already ran, what we're going to do in here in the use effect is we're going to create another variable, another function called get tasks, and that's going to run an async await, async, yep, an async await, and that's going to be an arrow function. Alright, I think I have mine. Okay, never mind. Alright, and now in here we're going to create a, say for example, task. What do we call this? Should we call it just tasks? No, rather not. Task in server. Task from server. Oops. Let's call it task from server. Yeah, there you go. And then we're gonna make that a way to fetch task function, to the fetch task function. Yeah, there you go. All right, and so now that is actually being called in here inside this function right here. Let's make sure that we call it. So we're gonna go to call get tasks. Yep, get task. So now in here we're going to finally get that set task from the use state. I know this is super weird, but that's the process. This is the most, the best process for it to work. And then we're going to call the tasks from server. All right, so if we hit enter now, and we'll see what happened. Okay, so error, unsafe, and home, uncut, and promise, failed to fetch. Alright, so let's see what happened. Let's go to the network tag and click on task and see what's going on here. Alright, so the request header, request URL. Alright, maybe I need to restart my server. Let's just do that. Let's go ahead and close this. And oops, what the heck did I do? Alright, let's restart the server and see what happens. Restart the application, the compiler or whatever. Alright, so localhost 3000 failed to make a call. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, they're still being called to task. Use effect, get tasks. Okay. I have a feeling that it's because this 6000 here is not working. Alright, so let's go ahead and stop the 5000 and recall that again. Actually, let's just do it. Let's just do a different port. Let's do a different port. Let's go back to the package JSON and let's call 3001 and let's save that, and let's stop that server, run it again. 3001. Let's see if the 3001 works. Okay, 3001 seems to work. Let's see, task. There you go. There are my tasks. So the 3000 works. 3001 works. So if I hit save, let's see what's happening here now. Okay, it still failed. And let's click on this. This is still requesting from 6000. So empty recall, do a restart of my cache. All right, now let's see if that's still calling 6000. It's still calling 6000. Oh, because I'm telling it to call 6000. So see, this is why we have to have this inside of this API. Just like I said, the port would change. So since the port would change, you know, so there you go. So now it's working. So we knew it wasn't working before because the 6000 was not really a good port to use. I don't know why. My best guess is that the port 6000 was something that is being used. It's a port that is being used or restricted or protected or something like that. So I had to change it to a 3001 port instead, and now it works fine. As you can see, everything is here. I can still, you know, delete them. They won't persist. It will come up, right? But this is not what we're doing right now. We're only working basically on the 3000 on the GET request of the application. So just to name it, I'm gonna put GET request GET request. So this is your GET request, and this is how you build a GET request inside of an application in React. All right, so we're going to stop right here, and in the next lessons we're going to be building the other services, such as the delete request and the post request and update request and all this stuff, so we can create and delete and update the sections of our application, and it will persist. All right, see you guys in the next one.